Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bulletproof Marriage Podcast. I'm Alan.
And I'm Becca. And we wanted to start out by telling you a little bit about us so you can know more. We have two kids, and one is 11 and one is 13. We started dating April 2nd, 2008. We got married in June of the same year. And we've been together 14 years and almost been married 15 years.
A lot of people think that's crazy that we only dated like 2 months and got married.
Well, it kind of was.
Well, it's just in God's plan. After all we've been through, we can kind of see that now. He had a plan set out for us, and I believe what we're doing right here with this first podcast, according to what God laid on your heart, is the plan that He had set forth in this marriage to share our story and maybe help other people. So, do you want to share that with them?
Yeah, about 2 years ago, when we first started going to church and stuff, I had it was a burden on my heart to start a podcast. And not necessarily that it was a burden, it was just something that was laid on my heart. And so I never fell through with it. I had just waited around. And a couple of months ago, I started having dreams that I was having a baby. And I had no clue what that meant. And so Alan has a friend that's a preacher, and I had talked to him about it, and he said having a dream of you having a baby when you're a Christian doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a baby. Sometimes it means that you are supposed to be doing something for God, and that's how he's trying to get you to realize it. So within that, I figured out that this is what God was calling me to do, was start my podcast. And by the dreams, I had already supposed to been starting the podcast.
Yeah, I just want to say that people, when they hit rocky places in their marriage, they just want to give up, call it quits, get divorced, whatever happens is usually they just call it quits. Let's just say that. But that's the thing that the enemy wants to do. He wants to, whatever God puts together, he wants to destroy. He wants to tear it apart. Excuse me. And that is one of the holy things that God has placed upon the human race is marriage between one man and one woman. It means a lot to him. So all I can say to y'all out there is fight for your marriage. Be strong in your marriage. Whatever the devil throws at you, just fight through it. Do not give up. So many people nowadays, young people, want to give up on their marriage and just call it quits. And I hate to say it, most of the time it's just for lustful reasons.
And also, if you put God first in your marriage and you go to Him with everything, then He'll give you the answers that you need. You just have to be patient. And sometimes it may take 10, 11 years, but that's teaching you something in the process.
Exactly. Well, let's move on to this. Do you remember the first time we met?
Yep, we met at Walmart.
I was working at Walmart at the time. She was working at Walmart at the time. And I remember when you used to come back and put the cardboard in the cardboard baler every time you walk back here. And guys will be guys. I'll just say that. And we was like, she looks good. And, you men know what I'm talking about. This is going to be a family-oriented thing here. But the first thing, believe it or not, that I noticed about you was your eyes. How blue they were, how pale blue. That's the first thing that I noticed.
So the eyes caught you?
Yeah, the eyes got me.
Well, now you're suckered in for life.
Oh, well, yeah, 15 years going now, so yeah. But when I wanted to ask you out, I also seen you walking around with this other guy at the time. And when I seen this guy, I'm not mentioning any names or anything on the podcast, I just looked at him and I looked at her and I was like, that is definitely not a match. Yeah, if you know what I mean. I'll give you a little bit of detail. The guy had his hat on crooked, pants sagging, all that. I was like, that is not a match. I'm like, what is she thinking? And finally, one day I got the courage to ask her for her phone number and ask her to call me. And you thought I was pulling a joke on you or asking for somebody else, didn't you?
Yeah, because it was on April Fool's Day, and I thought, well, this is a joke. And then I thought he was asking for somebody else. So I was like, who wants it? And he was like, me. I said, well, okay. I'll give it to you. But at the time when we met, I really wasn't looking for anyone because I had just broke up in my previous relationship. And I wasn't looking for anyone else or anything. And he just happened to come up and at the right time, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was all in God's will at that time. Uh, like I said, people think we're crazy because we dated 2 months and got married, but it is what it is. God had a plan. God led us to come together. And I remember when we first got our first place together, we didn't even have electricity turned on. I think I ran a extension cord because my mom lived next door in the townhouse beside us, and I run an extension cord from her house to our house, and so we could watch TV and stuff. It was crazy, but uh, do you remember the first time we baked a dessert
Oh,
as
yeah.
a pie?
Yeah, it was a chocolate pie. And my grandma, she makes really good chocolate pies. And I thought, well, we could do this. It's pretty easy. Well, it didn't turn out so well. We actually have pictures of it. And if we can find them, we'll insert them in here
Oh Lord,
so you can see them. But it did not turn out well.
and it did not. If you could take a pie and turn it to a basketball where to bounce, it it didn't turn out good. But I do also recall that as we was living in the townhouse together, and I felt uneasy about it because there was something deep down. I wasn't following the Lord at that time or anything, but there's always something in the back of my mind told me that it wasn't right. And I feel like that's another reason why we got married so quick, because God was letting us know that it wasn't something to do without
Well,
being
neither
married.
one of us were really living right. I mean, of course not. We moved in together, and we're having a relationship without being married, and that's something that God speaks against. But you know, even when we weren't following Christ and living the life we should have, I prayed over our marriage all the time because in the hard times, I knew who to run to. I knew that God was the one to answer the prayers that I needed, and I had prayed many times, is this right? Is this where I should be? And every time it just worked out in being where I should be, I guess. Now we got 2 kids, and one's
Wow, that's a buck
13
Indian.
and she knows everything, and the other one's 11 and she knows even more, I think.
Oh yeah, they all know it all. They know more than mom and dad does. Uh, you actually got some tattoos for remembrance of things you went through, don't you?
Yeah, I did. I got a cross on my left arm and it says be still because every time I'd pray about my marriage, that's what God would tell me was be still. He never gave any other explanation, just be still. And I think those words really stuck to me. And so in the hard times, I do think about that. And I think about God telling me to be still and just to wait because in God's time is not our time. Nothing ever is going to happen like we think it should.
Right. Yeah, and I owe a lot to God because growing up, I really didn't have a dad. I mean, I had a stepdad, but I never had that, what do you call, actual son-father relationship that most have because at a young age, my dad was an alcoholic, and I'm sorry, getting a little emotional. He's an alcoholic, and he used to beat me and my mom. So my mom left him at an early age, and growing up, I really never knew how to treat a woman. How a husband's supposed to treat his wife. So I kind of went in a crash course when I got married. All I knew is I loved Becca, and she loved me, and I wanted to be with her forever. Well, at a certain point in life, the devil tried to destroy that, which we'll go more into that in another podcast. But I had to fully rely on God to show me how to be a husband. And for him to do that, I had to submit myself at a certain point in my life and just give it all to him and give up and surrender. And he had to be my father that showed me how. He had to be the father to me to show me how I should treat my wife. And I'm getting emotional when I'm talking about it because I get kind of sad at the things when I start talking about it because things start coming back that happened. And what my pastor said this morning, he said, "Don't live in the past." So I'm trying not to live in the past because that's the old me, that's the old self. When you get saved and you're born and baptized, you're born a new creature, and the old man dies. So you live a new life, and you're a new person. So
And that's what a
Go ahead.
marriage, and that's why I think God wants to keep the man and wife together, is because of things like that. It never is good whenever the mom and dad split up for the kids. It's never something that turns out the way that you think it should. It's just, it's not the way God planned it, so it's not going to work out like it should. And if you really think about it, when you're two, you become one. So whenever you break that up, you're not doing anything any justice.
Right. I agree. And on another note, what's some of the things that I do that get on your nerves? Don't sit there and think about it because I know there's a lot.
Driving your truck like a maniac, hitting every pothole that you can find. Let's see. Oh, the TV. I hate the TV. He loves TV.
She won't watch nothing.
If there's anybody any different, it's probably us because we're two totally different people. I hate the TV, and he loves it. He has to have it on all the time and up to the max volume. I think that he needs hearing aids.
What's the difference in watching me watch TV and you watching TikTok all the time?
Probably nothing, but at least you don't have to hear it all the time.
You know, one thing you forgot to mention when I'm eating.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't close his mouth.
She can't.
And the sound of chewing drives me nuts. I think there's actually a technical word for that, but it drives me insane.
Well, I only have one.
Only one?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You try to be bossy all the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do. And I feel like that's kind of from the past, too, because I always had to be the boss. But in the Bible, you're not supposed to live that way because the man is supposed to be the head of the household. And so I've tried to kind of tone that down a little bit, but it's a very hard task for me because I've always wanted to be in charge of everything.
Actually, I just thought of another one.
Oh, great.
When I'm sleeping and trying to take a nap because I'm really tired, you have to flip the light on and holler my name, and it scares me to death. Like my heart jumps out of my chest.
Because I cannot stand the lights off in the house. It drives me nuts. I have to have the light on because I have to see what I'm doing. Even if I'm eating, I have to see what I'm eating.
I love the lights off, especially when watching TV. And that would be three things.
Nothing good comes out of darkness, you know.
It ain't dark, TV's on.
It's still dark to me.
That's three things.
Because I can't see around.
She likes the lights on all the time. I think the biggest part is because it's clear in the TV.
Oh, well, another thing that gets on my nerves about you is whenever you watch your phone in the bedroom when I'm trying to go to sleep.
Hey, that's the same thing. You come there waking me up. So we're even.
And you also hate when I roll my eyes.
See, we're just totally two different people there that God's brung together. And we built, God's helped us build our marriage to be as strong as it is today. I mean, we're not perfect. We get in arguments most of the time. We disagree. But the important thing is don't continue in that position or in that place of being angry at each other or being an argument at each other. Actually, last night, we got in a pretty dumb argument last night. We was actually going to record this last night, but she was doing the bossy thing, made me mad, and I decided I wasn't going to do it last night. Kind of dumb, but it does happen. All marriages are not perfect fairy tales. You do have your ups and your downs, and you just got to fight through them and keep pushing through and just let God lead the marriage. I mean, it's holy matrimony. And like I said, the devil will try to come in and try to split it up because it's something holy between one man and one woman that God's put together. It says what God put together, that no man put asunder. And if it had not been for one of my buddies, Pastor Ryan, he's been there for us a lot, and he's helped us in our marriage and our walk along the way plenty of times. And he's always there for us if we need him, and that's awesome. That's great to know that we got somebody like that, somebody can stand in a mutual ground and just, talk us through things.
Because Ryan never tells me, like, if Alan goes to him with a problem, he's never come back and told me, well, Alan came to me and told me this, like, most people would. And I mean, that's really what a true friend is. And he's a pastor too. So he's a good person to go to whenever you need something. And I've even texted him a few times or called him and asked him about a few things or told him my problems, and he's helped me. And I'm sure he hasn't told Alan what I've talked to him about.
Yeah, I'd like to have him on the podcast one day so he can join us and kind of get some insight from his point of view, helping us out. I think that'd be pretty neat. Well, before we wrap this up, I got a few things that I'd like to share with you. Let me ask you this. Why did the unemployed man get excited while looking through his Bible?
I don't know.
He thought he saw a job.
A joke?
Yeah, he thought he saw a job. Hold on, there's another one here. Why didn't Noah go fishing?
Because he didn't need any fish in the boat.
He only had 2 worms.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one before. I couldn't remember it,
though. What is the best way to study the Bible?
I don't know, because I have a hard time doing that.
You look into it.
Yeah.
All right, one more, and then we'll call it a wraps. What do you call a sleepwalking nun?
Nobody.
A Roman Catholic. Well, that's going to do it for this podcast. That's just a little introduction to who we are and how we met and things like that. But I hope y'all enjoyed the podcast, and I hope you tune in next time for the next one. We're going to try to do these every Saturday or Sunday. So please keep in touch and keep a lookout for the new podcasts that pop up. And do you have anything you want to say before we go?
Nope.
I do. Hang on to your marriage and let God guide you. We love each and every one of y'all, and we hope to see you in the next podcast. God bless you.
See ya.
See ya.